Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. First things first, I must apologise that the videos have been a little bit sparse here on my channel. That's just because we've had a lot going on in the house, some delays, some dramas, and yeah, basically it's just been full steam ahead to get to this point now where I actually have my filming space back, and I'm hoping in the next week or so we're going to be able to start bringing you guys some of the home update videos as well. But on today's agenda I do have one of your favourite videos, or some of you at least, and it is a what's new in my wardrobe for spring video. So I do these videos once every season just to show you guys what I have bought, what's new in my wardrobe. Granted, I haven't made a purchase in quite a while. In fact, I think the first item I'm going to show you guys was the most recent purchase, which was a couple of months ago. Now, I have some wish list items that have been ticked off. I have some second-hand but grand purchases to show you, and then a few little bits in between as well. So, without further ado, let's get stuck in to the first item. Okay, so item number one is indeed a wish list item. I spoke about these in the wish list video from earlier on this year, which, shameless plug, there will be a link to down below in the description box for anyone that wants to go and watch that if you haven't already seen it, to see what items I'm going to tick off for this year. And finally, these came back in stock and I snapped them up in my size as soon as they did. That said, I did have a little bit of an issue with sizing. So my true to size would be a Euro 40.5, which is what I ordered. However, when they arrived, they were so big, there was a full-on gap and they were just flapping off the back of my heels. So I exchanged them for a size 40. I went half a size smaller than what I would normally be, and these fit perfectly. So my size advice is they do run a smidge on the large side. So initial thoughts, I've only worn these a couple of times because we've been doing stuff around the house, so I haven't really been getting dressed properly per se on a regular basis. Initial thoughts, they are quite heavy because there's a substantial amount of rubber in this chunky sole. It is a solid rubber sole and like little mini heel. So you get a little bit of a leg workout. They are far more comfortable than they look. Appearances can be deceiving. They look a little bit stiff, and obviously with them being a more patent leather, they look like they could be just blister machines. So far, no blisters to report. Now I have been wearing these with little no-show socks, which I wouldn't normally wear in a pair of loafers, but because these are a little bit higher, I have been wearing them with those little socks. And again, if anyone's interested in which socks I wear, because I do get questions like that, I will pop the information down below in the description box for you. Now, I know these divide opinion and it is down to personal taste, whatever floats your boat. I personally love them. And there was one element that I was a little bit dubious about, and it was the logo, because I'm not so much a fan of an in-your-face logo. And I mean, these are quite branded. However, because they're on your feet, and after having now worn them a couple of times, I've realised that the logo isn't hugely noticeable. It's not like when you have a handbag and the logo is just screaming out at you. On these, it's much more subtle because they're down below and your feet are moving all the time. It's not something that you can really see. So I very much got over the logo mania aspect of these shoes. Now, another thing which I know a few of you were keen to hear my opinion on, and it is the shoe clunkiness to foot size ratio. The question being, do they make your feet look big? Now, I am an excellent test subject for this quandary because I have quite large feet, because I am relatively tall. I'm 5'9", or just over 5'9", and I have very slim legs. So I have to be careful when it comes to flat forms, like really chunky shoes, and anything that can kind of emphasize the foot. I do have to be careful in that arena because they can make my feet look large. Now, it will be down to personal opinion, but as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to my feet and the largeness of them, my opinion is the only one that matters. And as far as I'm concerned, I have got no self-confidence issues or no hang-ups about wearing these and having that feeling of my feet looking big at all. So that's my take on it. I actually feel like they have a slightly opposite effect in that because they're chunkier, they kind of balance things out, which I know seems a bit odd, but that's just how I feel. On to item number 2, and this is actually my first second-hand but grand purchase that I'm going to show you guys within this video, and it is a navy, I hope you can see it, you'll see it in the cutaways, navy wool and mohair blend wrap jacket. Now, fun fact, this was actually on a wish list of mine a couple of years ago. The coat then ended up going into, I think, a sale, and it also came in camel as well. It was this navy that I was particularly interested in. Went down into the sale for like £390, I think, ish, if my memory serves me correctly. But they didn't have it in my size. There was only the larger sizes left. So I didn't buy it because Raey as a brand is known for being quite oversized in their fits anyway. So I didn't buy it, and I just kind of put that down to a loss and never thought I would see the jacket again. However, on Vestiaire, I do have an alert for anything under the label Raey that is listed. So I am getting alerts anytime anything from Raey is listed. And one day this popped up. Now, I didn't buy it immediately because the price was not what I was prepared to pay. Now, it is a pre-loved item. The previous owner said it had been worn only a couple of times, and to be honest with you, when it arrived, it actually smelled really nice. She had a really nice perfume, but it smelled really nice, but it was in excellent condition. So I do trust that she'd only worn it a couple of times, which is really what I sort of look for. I don't look for heavily worn items when I'm buying them secondhand because I want to get my wear out of them. So I look for items that are as new and as little worn as possible. Now, I also found another one of these for sale, and actually I think it's still for sale on eBay, but in a larger size. So this one here is a size 8, which, as I mentioned, Raey does come up a little bit oversized. The one on eBay that I found was a size 10. Now, the one on eBay was considerably more expensive. I think it was £380 it was listed for. And this one, because it was coming to the end of the winter season and we were essentially coming into spring, I made a cheeky offer, and I made a cheeky offer on a day which also had, I think it was something like 10% off any purchases under £500. Those kind of days come up quite often, so if you've got something that you found on Vestiaire that perhaps you don't really feel that urgency to buy, just keep it saved in your favourites and wait till one of those days comes along, because it means that you can get a little bit of extra money off. So I actually ended up buying this, which I think was originally priced at about £670, I think. And I ended up getting this for just over £150. So in my opinion, that is a good deal, and it was a price that I was willing to pay for something that I'd really, really wanted. So as you can see, it's a belted style, is more of a jacket rather than a coat, which is why I thought it would be a good item to keep out. This was one of those things which I kept out when I did my spring-summer wardrobe changeover a few weeks ago. It's completely collarless, which again I think is a nice little style for spring, and I've been wearing this with some baggy jeans, trainers, a basic t-shirt underneath, and it's just one of those items which I think you can dress up, but you can also dress it down, which is obviously my preferred method of dressing, if you will. It's got nice textured fabric. It is a mohair and wool blend. Now for me, I know people are going to ask, even though this isn't a current item, but does it itch? I personally think it's really, really soft because it's not 100% mohair. It has got some wool in there. It has softened quite a bit. And I personally don't have any sort of irritability towards wool or any kind of natural fibres like that. So I don't normally tend to suffer the itch when wearing wool or mohair. So yes, there we go. Second handbook brand and my second new in item. Right, moving on to item number 3. Technically this is 2 items, however, as you can see, it's basically a suit, so I am classing it as one, but these 2 items were purchased. They were purchased together, but separately, if that makes sense. It's not a set that you buy together. Now there was also a matching blazer that came in the same fabric, which kind of completes the suit. However, I've designed my own blazer with the curated, and in my opinion, nothing beats that blazer. So I did not feel a need to go and buy the blazer for this. Now there was another reason, aside from the fact that I just liked the suit, that I wanted to buy something. Now it's a brand called the Frankie Shop, and the Frankie Shop have a very heavy presence on social media because they do a lot of gifting to influencers. So I am sure you would have seen some of your favourite influencers wearing the Frankie Shop items here, there, and sometimes everywhere. I have never had any gifting from them, full disclaimer, but I have been curious because the aesthetic of the brand, the marketing, it's very clever, it's very minimal but sort of cool, edgy. There's tailoring, you know, suits, there's really key pieces. They do a lot of, and they do it well, I will give them that, but they do a lot of really key trend items. And yeah, I was just curious. I wanted to try out the brand because I had some suspicions, had some thoughts about the brand that I thought, do you know what? I want to spend my money on the brand. I want to wear and try out some of the items and see if my suspicions are true, and then report back to you guys, because that's what I like to do. I like to sort of try out a brand and give you guys my honest opinion. And from there, it's up to you. You can take it or you can leave it. So this popped up on Matches. So I didn't buy this directly from the Frankie Shop, from their direct website, which they do have. I bought this from Matches because they are stocked on Matches. I believe they're also stocked on Net-a-Porter and maybe some other multi-level retailers. So I bought these on Matches. It also came in black, but I kind of liked this. I'd say it's like greige. It's a mixture between beige and greige. I like this kind of colour, and I thought it'd be a nice colour for spring. Now I'm a big fan of the tailoring, the whole kind of suit vibe with a pair of trainers. I like that sort of, it's almost going back to the normcore vibe. I'm still not over normcore. I don't care what anyone says, but I still love the vibe. Now another bonus with suits is that the items can then be worn separately or mixed and matched with other bits of tailoring. So there's options there. There are styling options, which I quite appreciate. So the Frankie Shop is a New York based brand. They have a physical store in New York, and I think they even have one in Paris now. I know that they've got some sort of Paris presence. So when you're looking at their website directly, the Frankie Shop, their own website, not any of the other retailers like Net-a-Porter or Matches, there is no sign anywhere on that website of any sustainability practices, anything about their factories, any ethical information. There's literally nothing about any of that. In fact, some of their information is so vague that even on some of their product pages, it doesn't even say where the item has been made or where it comes from. It simply says imported. That's it. Very, very vague. However, because I bought these on Matches, it did say the origin of the products was Korea. So these 2 items here, and no doubt the matching blazer, have been made in Korea, which was one of my suspicions. I kind of thought the Frankie Shop might be a bit of an upscaled Korean wholesale, and I feel like that's what it is. Anyway, in terms of fabric and quality, the fabric is actually not, I mean, obviously I knew what the fabric was before I bought it because it said in the listing description. It's a mix of lyocell, rayon and wool, so there are some sustainable fibres in there, and it's actually a massive improvement on using polyester. However, looking through their direct site, they use a lot of polyester, even if it's just in things like lining. but there is a heavy amount of polyester there. Now, perhaps that's something that they're working on because this is new season. Maybe this was something, a step in the right direction to using slightly more sustainable fabrics. I don't know. There's no mention of any of this on their website. So if you are a more conscious purchaser, more conscious consumer, shall we say, then if I'm being honest, this brand I would say to avoid because there's absolutely no information whatsoever. Now, in terms of the feel and quality of the fabric, it's not mind-blowing, but it's also not awful. It definitely doesn't feel as cheap and as flimsy as polyester, but it also doesn't feel super premium. Even some of the finishing on here doesn't feel premium, and you can tell just by the label that's inside, the sort of label that says what the fabric makeup is and the washing instructions. It's a really cheap sort of mass-produced label. Now, labels aside, the actual items themselves. The trousers, they're really nice fit. I actually sized up in them so that I could wear them slightly lower slung on the hips rather than higher, because I knew with them being made in Korea that perhaps the fit might be a little bit on the short side. So I bought them in a size up so I could wear them lower slung on the hips and therefore gain a little bit of length. I also did consider, or at least buy them with the option of taking down the hems on the legs, but I have not needed to do that, as you will see in the cutaways. They're actually a really nice fit. Now, the waistcoat or vest, whatever you want to call it, I would very much wear this on its own, just with a bra underneath. The fit of this is a little bit odd. In terms of the length and the body, I feel like that's completely in proportion, but there's just a really odd little gathering situation around the bust. It's almost like, and I don't have a large bust at all, but it's almost like this has been cut for a man and not for a woman, because where the bust area is, there's just a really odd kind of shape around the neckline, and it just doesn't sit how something should sit on a woman, because we have lumps and bumps in other areas. Yeah, it's just, that sort of indicates to me that it's just not premium tailoring. And when you consider the price of each of these items and then as a set, I mean, the jacket, the blazer was £335, which is mind-blowing, because essentially my sort of final verdict of this brand, despite the fact that I really like this as a suit and I will definitely get plenty of wear out of it, it's not something I'm going to just get rid of, but my sort of summary thought would be that this is essentially fast fashion, but very well marketed with the use of influencers and just a really good kind of brand aesthetic. And for that purpose, the price has just been inflated, and there's probably going to be quite a hefty profit being made off these items. I would say there are better brands to spend your money on for tailoring, at least, if you have this kind of budget, the budget for these items, or if you don't even have that budget, I would say retailers like Arket, COS, high street retailers, they actually have slightly better quality items and for less than what these cost. Right, moving on now to my next items, and this is another wish list item which has been firmly ticked off that wish list, and it is basics. So I spoke about this back in that wish list video. I wanted some new basics to kind of replace or at least sort of integrate into my basics collection, because I found like some of my others were getting a little bit worn, a little bit misshapen, because I wear basics a lot. And I was toying with the idea of trying out a new brand, or at least not just buying the same basics that I had before, and that's what I've done. So these are from Organic Basics, and I've actually teamed up with them for this little section within this video. Now, they're not actually a new brand to me. You'll have seen me talk about Organic Basics before. I believe we've also worked with them before. It's a brand that I feel like our values very much align. I've got some of their other basics within my basics collection, and over the last 6 to 8 months or so, I have become a very, very big fan of their underwear. Their underwear is, I'm going to make a bold statement here, but it is the best underwear ever. No bells and whistles, comfortable, light, washes well. It's the best. Now, they are a carbon neutral brand, which is excellent. They're based in Copenhagen, and absolutely all of their products are made ethically in Europe. And they use certified organic, recycled and other environmentally friendly fabrics within their production line. And if anyone is interested, there is a full section over on their website where it gives a clear description and a full view of all of the factories that they use for all of their garments. There's a full list over there. It's very, very comprehensive indeed. Factory workers are paid the living wage, there's no child labour, and it is freely chosen employment. So this is why this is a brand that I'm really happy to spend my money on. So going back to that wish list video, I was after replacing my sort of oversized t-shirts. So that's what I have here. Now I have upsized, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but these are the organic cotton boxy t-shirts. Now I have these in a size large, so I've upsized by, I would say, about 2 sizes just to get a really sort of oversized and slouchy fit. Again, that's just my personal preference. That's how I like my t-shirts to fit. I also like the slight bit of added length that you get on the sleeves when you go a bit more oversized. I've got them in the 2 really basic, classic sort of everyday essential colours. White and black, and that's because these are the colours that I get the most wear out of during spring and summer. Now the fabric itself is nice and soft, it's lightweight, but it's also thick enough to be structured, to provide that sort of structure that you want in a t-shirt, or at least that I sort of look for in a t-shirt. I do have some of their slinkier styles, which are made out of the Tencel Light fabric. So if you like a little bit more fluidity in your t-shirts, those are definitely worth checking out. But for me personally, my sort of go-to t-shirt would definitely be this organic cotton, slightly more masculine, boxy fit, and with the oversized look. And what I also like about Organic Basics is, if like me or us as a household, there's only me and Simon that live here, so we don't really do our laundry on that much of a regular basis because it takes time for us to accumulate a load in a certain colour, like darks, lights, colours. So I often find, especially when the weather starts to get a bit warmer and get a little bit of perspiration, I find that I go through my basics on quite a quick, rapid basis. So that's why I have multiples. So Organic Basics actually does a 3-pack, and it gives you a little bit of discount in there as well for buying the multi-pack. It just gives you 3 of the exact same t-shirt. And the thing is, when you find a t-shirt like this that you love the cut, the fit, the fabric, you know it washes well, you may as well get 3. Now up here, I also have the Organic Basics Rib Flex Tank, aka the vest top. I've got this one in grey. As you can see, it does have that rib texture to it. And again, it's really nice and soft. And actually a little design feature that I really like about this vest in particular is if we twizzle it round to the back, a lot of vests have that really clear cutout racer back detail. This one is actually much more wearable when it comes to wearing bras. So if you just want to wear a standard bra, you don't want one of those crossover bras or whatever, or a strapless bra, these are actually so much easier to wear without your bra straps being visible because they've not got that super exaggerated racer back cutout. So that's one little tip if you are looking for some vest tops but don't want to have to go and get all the different straps for your bras or even a specific bra just to wear with a vest top. This is a really good option. Now in terms of size, I've gone true to size with this one. I've gone for a small. It does have a little bit of room in there, and actually I have another one of these in a slightly different colour which I sleep in because it came as part of a set with what I can only describe, or what Simon calls, absolutely ginormous knickers. Now, I don't think men kind of get the aspect of style when it comes to some things, but I love them. They are really high-waisted pants, but I love them. I think they're great and they are so comfortable to sleep in. Bit of a passion killer, but hey. And then finally, I've also got the Tencel light turtleneck. So Tencel, this is what I was just speaking about when it comes to like fluidity. You can kind of see how it moves. There's a good bit of stretch in Tencel. Now, I've spoken about Tencel before as a fabric. I think it might have been in another video where I was talking about basics and organic basics, but for anyone that missed that, I will reiterate for you. So Tencel is a really great fabric to look out for. It's a very eco-friendly fabric. It's actually made out of responsibly sourced wood pulp. It's non-toxic and it is fully biodegradable. Now, as you can see, just from the sort of movement of this turtleneck here in comparison to the t-shirts, it's so much softer and lighter, and even to feel it's a lot softer as well than the organic cotton. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just that this sort of fabric, the Tencel fabric, is actually more akin to a silk than it is to a cotton. So it's a completely different feel and a different vibe, which is why I said about the slinkier t-shirts earlier. You get that little bit more of movement in there, but it is incredibly soft. And I'm going to go back to my sort of love affair with their underwear. They have a little Tencel Light range, the Tencel Light Bralette. I think I've got the name right for that. I bought those in every colour, and then I bought my favourite colours again because I loved them so much, and they tend to be, in fact I've got one on now, they tend to be the only bras that I really wear. They've got no padding in them, they're just really, really comfortable, and because they've got this soft, lightweight, and should I also add, incredibly breathable fabric, they are the most comfortable undergarments that I have ever owned. Now, when it comes to basics like this, as I've said, they do t-shirts in this fabric, but I have decided to go for this turtleneck because actually this is the kind of item which is really good for layering when you get the slightly cooler spring temperatures. So at the moment, we've kind of dropped down a couple of degrees. Over Easter weekend, we had some glorious weather. It was beautiful. We just sort of ramped straight into nice warm spring weather. But I've got a feeling we're going to get a slightly sort of cooler spell. And so this is the sort of thing which is great, whether you want to layer it underneath knitwear or even something like a button-up shirt. I think that's a really cool look to have a slightly higher neck. It just provides that sort of base layer for creating the rest of your outfit around, provides you with a bit of warmth, but then essentially, as with all the other basics, it can be worn on its own when the weather starts to get a bit warmer. Right, next item is when spring comes about, so do the white jeans. It's not an official song, but I think we should make it one, don't you think? So this is a pair of Wandler jeans. I forget the style name, but I'll pop it down in the description box below along with a link for anyone that's interested. There's no bells and whistles here, folks. It's just a pair of, what are they? Sort of off-white cream, straight leg jeans. Now, I do have other off-white jeans in a similar colour, however, they're all cropped. And I know that this is something that I bang on about a lot, but I do have long legs and I actually wanted a pair that were going to be ankle friendly, that were going to cover my ankles, especially for some slightly cooler spring temperatures. So I saw these, added them to my basket. This was at the start of the year actually, and then sort of put them away in my drawer ready for spring when it finally rolled around. Now, Wandler isn't particularly a brand that I kind of would say is my go-to. I have one bag from Wandler, which I actually bought secondhand, but I was just browsing Net-a-Porter and I knew that I had sort of a pair of denim like this in my mind, saw these and just thought I would give them a try, and then when they arrived, I ended up falling in love with them. So they're also made from 100% organic cotton and they're made in Italy. Right, up next, what number are we on now? Let me check my notes. Item number 6. So this is another wish list item. For anyone that watched the wish list video, you will recognise this. This is the Arket striped shirt. Now, This is a lesson learned for me, because after I made that video, this shirt sold out online. So I was thinking, I probably should have bought that before I made a video which included the shirt, because I basically did myself a disservice. So yes, I managed to actually find this in my local Arket store, which is in Bluewater. Hallelujah, it was a bold and amazing day when I found this shirt. Now, I have quite the thing for stripes in general, and then when it comes to sort of spring, summertime, a striped shirt, it's just a go-to. It's one of those easy throw-on pieces, which despite the fact that it's a piece of tailoring and ergo should technically be quite smart, I actually like just throwing it on, maybe with a vest top underneath, doing a bit of layering, and then wearing it over some baggy jeans, either tucking it in or not tucking it in, whatever floats my boat for that particular day. A pair of baggy jeans, or even a pair of like wide leg or tailored trousers, or even, if any of you remember those black wide leg silk trousers that I had from last year, they will definitely be worn with this shirt in the summertime. It's just a really good sort of staple to have in the wardrobe. And this colourway, this sort of black, and it's not white, it's kind of like an oyster colour. How tropical, oyster. Yes, it's a colourway that I don't actually have in my wardrobe, and I am a repeat buyer. I do buy a lot of the same things, and so I'm actually quite proud of myself. And I do that, it's a good thing that I do that, because I do get a lot of wear. I just know what I like. And I do get wear out of all my repeated items, but I'm quite proud of myself for the fact that I've not bought another blue striped shirt. I've gone for black and tropical oyster. So yes, that's item number 6. Wish list ticked off. Right, now on to my second pair of shoes in this video. Actually, it's my second and last pair of shoes. I've only bought 2 pairs of shoes. And these are, I know some of you will recognise these. I haven't actually worn this colour yet, but these are Birkenstock Bostons. Clogs, mules, slippers, granny shoes, whatever you want to call them. I know these are very much like the Prada loafers, will divide opinion. They're actually having a bit of a moment, which is quite surprising to see, but lots of people have started wearing Boston mules now. Now, I know I mentioned last year that I was definitely late to the Birkenstock party, and I do actually have 2 other pairs of these which have been in storage. I have a black suede pair and the taupe suede pair. Really good staples again. I cannot even stress how comfortable Birkenstocks are just in general as a brand. I mean, I have lots of pairs of their sandals. The Arizonas are my particular favourites, especially in any of the suede fabrics. And I get so much wear out of them, never ever get any blisters. And so therefore, after years in my 20s of absolutely obliterating my feet with bad shoe choices, I am not even remotely sorry to be showing you these shoes, because the comfort level is just off the charts. It's just incredible. And do you know what? Despite the fact that these are probably called a man repeller or whatever other phrase, I love them. I mean, it's all subjective, it's all down to personal taste, but I think they're beautiful. Now, this is one of their new colours, which is why I bought them. And as I just mentioned, I'm a repeat buyer. If I have an item which I wear a lot, I will buy it in other colours. I will buy the exact item, but in other colours. Now, for anyone that has the taupe ones, they're quite an odd colour. They're a really good colour, but they're an odd colour because they're sort of not quite grey, but not quite beige. And sometimes when you have a lot of neutrals in your wardrobe, it can be quite a bit of a neutral clash to try and get that sort of cohesiveness. So I wanted to go with something which was a slightly warmer neutral, and I've gone for these. So these are the colour Clay, and they are much warmer. They're definitely more of a beige, and these actually have the matching colour buckle, which was a feature that I really liked on a pair of Arizonas that I bought last year. It was the very sort of pale green. They're called Faded Khaki, and they had the matching coloured buckle, and I just really like that because some of the buckles on Birkenstocks are like this sort of distressed copper effect. It's not my fave, but they're just so comfortable that I kind of ignore the buckle. But the buckle on these is sexy, if that can be a thing. There'll be people that are disputing the word sexy and Birkenstock used in the same sentence, but haters gonna hate. Right, item number 8, which is quite heavily covered in dog hair, but you won't see that because it's blue. And also, it's blue. Look! Now, I know that technically this is essentially the same colour as denim, but for a moment I could just get away with saying I wear colour, because this was quite a bold purchase for me, despite the fact that it is essentially just like denim. Now, this is from one of my favourite brands, Raey, which I've already spoken about, the second-hand but grand jacket, which I spoke about earlier in the video. Raey, I have a very, very, very soft, squishy spot for when it comes to their cashmere. I have been a fan of Raey, and it's fast becoming one of my favourite brands, and a brand that I sort of religiously look out for every month when I'm sort of looking at the new in section on Matches, because it's a Matches own brand. Their cashmere gets me every single time. I am a sucker for their cashmere. I say I have, so I've got the black cardigan, I've got the dress, I've got this jumper and another jumper. So I've got 4 pieces of their cashmere now. Oh, and I've got the long cardigan, 5. I've got 5 pieces of their cashmere, and it is, oh, it's just delightful. It's such a beautiful cashmere. It's incredibly soft, but it's also got a really good thickness to it. Now, I've got another cashmere jumper that's coming up at the end, and that's 6-ply cashmere. This isn't quite as thick as 6-ply cashmere, but I'd say it's maybe 4 or 5. It doesn't say on the website, so I couldn't tell you. I'm just sort of using touch to gauge. But it's really beautiful. Definitely, in my opinion, if you have the budget, because I know it's quite a pricey brand, in my opinion, well worth the budget. It's one of those brands also which is the aesthetic, just everything about Raey very much appeals to me. This is a nice sort of slouchy, oversized. It's got displaced sleeves, so it's just got that whole sort of slouchy, billowy kind of effect to it. And I've actually been wearing this jumper so much. We've rarely left the house because we've been doing so much work, but when we have left the house, this has been the jumper that I have reached for, and I've literally worn it every single time for about the last 2 or 3 weeks. Every time we've left the house, I've just been wearing it with either like the light coloured jeans, the off-white jeans that I showed you earlier, some Birkenstocks in most cases, or a pair of trainers, or even just some light coloured baggy jeans, because we've only been going to places like B&Q or the pub. So yes, there we go. That's my next item. I don't really know. I'm having some difficulty. God, that was cat-candid. I don't think I could have done that in a more complicated manner. I also now feel like I've got a lady sat on my lap because the skirt is all draped. Okay, so this is another second-hand but grand purchase. And I suppose technically this is more of a summer item, so I should have really kept this for what's new in my wardrobe for summer video, which I'll probably do June-ish time, or maybe July. But I bought this back in September last year, and I literally took a quick little snap of the label and like a little corner detail and put it on my stories on Instagram. But aside from that, I haven't actually featured this item, this dress, within a video. And I think I just got a bit excited when I was doing my wardrobe switch over, and I was dying to show you guys and tell you about another second-hand purchase. So this is the Tove Ceres dress, I think I've pronounced that correctly, and this was it was a sellout dress, so I never thought for a minute that I would get this secondhand but grand. But as I have got with Raey, on Vestiaire I have an alert set up for anything Tove. I just kind of realised that I really liked the brand. I thought the summer pieces were really nice, but never ever expected for this dress to come up, especially not in the UK. But it did, in black, which was the colour that I was predominantly looking for. However, I am very interested in the white as well because it's such a beautiful dress. Comes to me about sort of mid-shin level. There's a lot of fabric in the skirt because it's very, very full. Then it's got this sort of pleated bodice detail here. It's got several ties which you can either tie or you can leave undone, and then it's got the tie at the waist, which is quite helpful because I did find this dress a little bit on the large side. Now, as I bought this second hand, I wasn't 100% certain on sizing. I kind of used their size guide on their website and sort of judged what the models were wearing. And I decided to look for a UK 10. When it arrived, it was a little bit big, but you can cinch it in because this is essentially like a draw cord. You can cinch it in using this tie at the waist. So I think it is actually designed to be a little bit looser fitting, but I wanted to have a little bit more shape in at the waist. However, having said that, if I were to look for the dress again, not that it puts me off wearing this one, but if I were to look for the dress again, I'd probably look for a UK 8. So in my search for the white colour, which I will continue to look for secondhand now that I've managed to get this, I'll be looking for a UK 8. So that would be my only kind of tip on sizing. So this dress has come back in stock again for this season on the Tove website, and I think Net-a-Porter also stocks Tove the brand, but I'm not sure if they've got the Ceres dress in yet. There's a top version of this as well, and I think there's also a maxi length and a mini length of this dress. This one is the midi length, and it's just beautiful. It's one of those summer dresses which is effortless and timeless. It's not trend orientated. It's pretty basic really, and it's just one of those items which I can whip out year after year after year in the spring summer season, mainly summer. Right, on to my penultimate item. I'm going to whip them off the hanger. Right, so these are, surprise, surprise, by Raey. Actually, I bought these at the same time as I did the blue jumper, and these are a pair of wide leg chino trousers, but they don't have belt loops, so they're not, I wouldn't have said they're like a traditional pair of chinos, but they've got that kind of vibe. They're a similar sort of colour, sort of like a pale beige. Now, these actually aren't traditional chino fabric. They're a cotton and linen blend, which I think is quite nice for the spring summer season. I do like a bit of linen, you guys know I'm partial to that. And actually, they're not traditional chino style either. They do have a slightly wider leg, which I find quite nice because sometimes traditional chinos can be a little bit tight. Often they can be a bit cropped down by the ankles, and I'm not a fan of that. So I've gone for these. I do love a pair of trousers, even in spring, summer. I just think they're going to be one of those items which I'll wear quite a lot. Around this time of year, I'd probably be wearing them with a cashmere jumper of some variety with some basics layered underneath. But then come summertime, I think this with probably like a black racer back or black vest, that and a summer bag, basket bag perhaps, or woven leather bag, and then a pair of sandals. Super, super minimal, but a really easy go-to kind of summer outfit. I really like Raey's tailoring. I love everything Raey does, so that's why I bought those. They were not on the wish list, but I had a moment of weakness. And finally, my last item is more cashmere. And well, I've spoken about cashmere before when it comes to this country and the seasons. Even in summer, like June, July, August, I'll still have all my cashmere out in my wardrobe because English weather is very unpredictable. Though we can have some really lovely warm summers, we've also had some absolutely horrendous ones. And so with that in mind, sometimes you do need to keep warm, especially sort of early in the morning, then also in an evening when it gets a bit chillier, because we do have that temperature difference when the sun's not up, because we don't really have the humidity over here to keep the atmosphere warm, if you will, all of that, whatever the scientific stuff is. I'm not going to pretend to be a meteorologist. So this is another item actually from another brand which I have been dying to try, I would say for about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. It's another New York based brand called Ligne. Now, Ligne was started with a love, and I think their prime and core item is a striped knitwear, and they were started with the love of striped knitwear, because let's face it, who doesn't love striped knitwear? It's such a good wardrobe staple to have. It's just very visually appealing, and actually I didn't buy this direct from Ligne, I actually bought this from Net-a-Porter, which is one of their stockists over here in the UK, and I saw this and I just thought, actually that's quite unusual, because for me, I normally get drawn to the black and white or navy and white stripes, the typical Breton stripe, if you will. I'm always drawn to any kind of striped knitwear in those colours. And when I saw this one, which is beige and like an ecru or like sandy colour, I thought actually that's a slightly different take, so I'm going to go for that. And also because it's got this button detail here, it's kind of like a Henley style, and I thought it was something a little bit different, which again, as I've said, I am a repeat buyer, and so for me it was a good thing to buy something which is something that I like, and a sort of item, a striped knitwear I buy a lot of, but it looks different at least. Now this is also the jumper that I spoke about earlier when I was talking about the ply of cashmere. This is, my goodness, the most beautiful cashmere I have ever felt in my life. So it's 6-ply cashmere, and it is so soft. I can't stop stroking it. It's incredibly soft. I'm telling you now, this will not be my last purchase from this brand, but I'm going to give this, I've only worn this once, but now that we're sort of a bit more clearer and sort of done with the house tasks, I'm going to wear this a lot more, especially before it starts to get warmer outside, so I can really give this a good sort of run for its money and test it out and see how the cashmere wears, and also how it washes, because that's also equally important. So yeah, this was a bit of an investment purchase, but something that I'd wanted to buy so that I could report back to you guys on the brand, which I don't feel like I'm quite ready to yet, aside from my initial thoughts, which basically just involve a lot of stroking. Oh, but also a side note, if cashmere perhaps isn't your jam, or if maybe the cashmere price points are a little bit more expensive, they do actually have some really, really, really beautiful cotton knitwear, which is a nice option for summer as well. Now, granted, I haven't bought any of that. It just looks beautiful from the website. So I thought I would just add that in. Right, yes, done. Raey completed. I'd also like to give another thank you to Organic Basics for teaming up with me for the little basics portion of this video. For any of you who are interested in trying out Organic Basics, I know I've said it so much in this video, but do try their underwear, it's incredible. And the boxy t-shirt I would also highly recommend. There is down in the description box below a discount code and any relevant discount information so that you guys can get some money off if you are looking to make a purchase or perhaps upgrade your basics to something with a bit more longevity. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time.